not really easier to use, but just you have so much more to work with
Right.
in terms of graphics and stuff. So, hey everybody, name's Eric. I will be talking about writing compelling emails. Um, I know some of y'all might be on mute, but I know this is a super exciting topic, so just hold your applause till the end. Um, but also just want to give the notice with email writing, marketing, all that. This is such a huge topic that can really be talked about for hours. So I'm just kind of covering some of the high points and what I've gained in my time here in the internship, but also just what I think are some good um, pieces of advice that you can use in generating emails. This, and it's going to seem like I'm talking like kind of from like a just consumer sales standpoint, but this can apply to, trying to gain more social media followers, volunteers, things of that nature. But we'll just go ahead and get started here. So, how important is the email industry today? It's still very huge. As you'll see here, 59% of marketers say email is still their biggest source of return on investment or ROI. There are 3.9 billion daily email users. The number is expected to climb to 4.3 billion by 2023. And 59% of respondents say that marketing emails still influence their purchase decisions. So whether you may not use it as much, I know email is probably the number one app I use now on my phone these days. Moving on here. And one thing to remember also, while it can seem easy just to send emails to folks, but if you have like a goal of, especially if it is to make a sale or gain social media followers, you got to be very careful with the wording that you use, because that can, one, just not get them opened because people think it's spam. It can get it sent to spam, or it could also just be in violation of the Can-Spam Act, which is for a set of rules set forth by the Federal Trade Commission. And you don't want to violate these because, among other things, you could also be paying, tens of thousands in fines. So definitely keep an eye on those. I can't, I mean, I could probably just do a whole presentation on the Can-Spam Act itself, but I'll just try to keep it simple, try to avoid using, with lack of a better term, spammy words like earn money, free, lowest price, meet hot singles, and then everything else combining that avoid all that. Um, but also, one thing just to remember, I just found this interesting with the average open rate of emails across all industries is only 22%, according to HubSpot. But I do know that for Come On Out eTEFL, our open rate is between 50 to 60%. And for Coming Out Japan, it is a little above 50% for the average open rate. So again, not all industries going to have low open rate, but it can vary. And then just briefly going over these Federal Trade Commission main requirements in regard to the Can-Spam Act. Don't use false or misleading header information, so people should know like where it's actually coming from. I know I was told that this can't be changed in most email programs, but if you do a little bit of research and gain the technical knowledge on this, you should be able to find out how to do it. Also, use descriptive subject lines. I'm sorry. Don't use deceptive subject lines. Sorry about that. So, don't say you won in the subject line and then they open it and they got to fill out a survey. Pretty straightforward stuff. But I know as a 10-year-old, I would be very gullible and click on things thinking I won, and then turns out I didn't. Then moving on, just identify the message as an ad. Tell the recipients where you're located, and really important, tell them how they can opt out of receiving future emails and honor those opt-out requests promptly. I know for the come on out emails, I've just been at the very bottom putting click here to unsubscribe. That covers all the rules there. And so one thing to be aware of when you're deciding what kind of emails you're going to send is with your recipients is where they are in the buyer's journey. Of course, I'm using it at a very broad term, but so there's the awareness, considering, and decision stages. And I'll just kind of go through here what's on the slide. For awareness stage, you've got a prospect that's experiencing and expressing symptoms of a problem or opportunity. For considering, you've got a prospect that has now clearly defined and given a name to their problem or opportunity. And for decision, that person has now decided to what their solution is and how they're going to actually approach it. And I'll actually give y'all a more concrete example now. I was going to use COVID, but it seems like it had so many changes throughout the months, so I'll just use strep throat or strep throat as an example. So this is just a patient, they're trying to figure out, they've got a sore throat, they're aching all over, what's wrong with me? Considering stage would be that they know they have a strep throat and what are their options for relieving and curing symptoms. Moving on to decision stage, they know they can see a primary care physician, ER nurse, or go to the clinic. ER is the fastest, and they have health insurance, so that's just the route they're going to go. So kind of keep something like this in mind when you're sending out an email. Just where are they in the journey? And this kind of transitions into what I've determined to be like 3 pillars of a good email. One is timing, which kind of goes back to what I was just talking about with the buyer's journey. You don't want to send a decision-based email to somebody who's still just in the awareness phase, or an awareness type email to somebody who's in the decision phase, and any other mix like that. Because then that kind of ties into, the context of the message and if it's really going to be relevant to them. And do they see even any use in even, maybe continuing to subscribe to you? Then lastly, just readability. Is the message too long? Does it make sense? Do they kind of know what they're supposed to do now? Of course, this can kind of vary a little bit too if we're talking like newsletters, because for me, what I've learned with newsletters and emails is just kind of sometimes can just be providing some another form of content. But again, that can include just including links to go see social media pages and etc. So moving on. Oh, and I should also mention before I get into that, just with sending emails, again, they're just going to be useless unless they're actually going to people who want to interact with them. So I definitely advise, I wouldn't think most of us here would pursue this, but like buying email lists, I'm pretty sure that can be illegal in some situations as well. So best just to avoid that and just try to get all your email contacts organically. Anyway, moving on. So this is kind of a checklist I've kind of started to develop for myself, just from the emails I've started to put together. And I feel like these are some of the more helpful things I can do to help create a more effective email. So first would be subject lines. A good one should be between 30 to 50 characters. This includes spaces and just make it spark curiosity for somebody to actually want to open it. You can use emojis, enticing offers, just nothing with spam related language, or try to make it personal as well. I know if you can include their name in there, that is a huge plus, and it can go a long way. Then just moving on with helping them, make sure they're going to gain something from this email. Use links and images as well to either your website, certain landing pages, things of that nature. Next one is huge, just peer review, spelling, grammar is certainly important, but also do they know like does the person peer reviewing, do they know what the goal of this email is? Because if they can't figure it out, chances are somebody else won't be able to, and that could just lead to more problems and possibly, more unsubscriptions. Who knows? And then the last one is something I've just learned from certain workshops and books I've read. It's just called the AIDA method, and it's just kind of what I've used for the bare bones of an email. So sometimes you can have so much information, not know where to put things. So I found this to be a good guideline for it. And of course, this will not apply to all emails, as some are just going to be more of a newsletter type deal. Or I know Matt would send lots of emails to potential universities for partnership. The format varied there as well. But you see it there with the acronym, just you want to grab their attention, interest them with some interesting facts. And I guess just backtracking with grabbing their attention, try to make it, something relevant, relatable, that gives the reader a reason to continue moving down the email. Then you interest them with some what would hopefully be interesting facts, make them desire the product, make them desire the product, and then just specifically outline how they can take some action in it. And that's pretty much what I've gained so far. But that sums up this presentation. Welcome questions. I should also mention, if you are really interested in just trying to learn more, just do some research on blogs. You can find tons of video on this. I did HubSpot Academy, which is free, and I just got an email marketing certification in it. I think it was like 4 hours in total of coursework and just watching modules and taking quizzes. But it's come to be just a nice little resume booster for me as well. But again, welcome any questions if needed.
What is HubSpot?
So HubSpot is they offer like software in terms of like specifically for email marketing, content marketing, online publications. They do a lot, and I'm still kind of finding out everything that they do. But among that also, they've kind of just established themselves as an authority on all types of marketing related services. And they've built like this whole library of where you can just go gain these certifications. You can learn more about SEO, content marketing, email marketing. I mean, the list goes on, but they've definitely established themselves as an authority in that regard. And I
feel like I always run into HubSpot when I'm Googling something like a question related to marketing or and then finding a blog post on it.
Definitely. Yeah.
And also, Eric, I didn't want to interrupt you during your presentation. I was laughing, but on mute when you said hold your applause for the the most exciting topic. But it's really relevant to all of us, no matter what. Robert and I were just having a discussion the other day about certain emails, and like obviously with you, Eric, you've helped me write a ton of emails anyways in this internship, and wrote our newsletters. If I will say that, you
Mhm.
didn't mention that.
Yeah.
Temple and Coming Out English newsletters.
Yes.
But yeah, I think I just wanted to say thank you, and that please like don't think that because no matter what career any of us going into or what job we're doing, I feel like that writing a compelling email is like one of the most important skills to have today. And it's definitely my most used app too. And I've definitely got
Mhm.
6 email accounts that I'm always using. So I'm sure everyone feels that way. It's
Oh yeah, certainly. I just
yeah,
know, like, no matter what, when you hear, the phrase, you're gonna sit through a presentation on emails, like,
yeah.
doesn't have such a great ring to it.
Hey, I was
Yeah.
actually very interested in this presentation, Eric.
Oh, good. Thank you.
Me too.
I had a question. Where did you throw out a 50% open rate for Coming Out Japan? Was that a test sample from our newsletter, or was that?
That was provided by Gwen. So
Okay.
I didn't ask her the specifics on that, but when I asked her, when she saw that little fact about just the industry
Yep.
with 22, she was like, hey, if you want to include this, you can mention it. So I
think
don't know
that's
if
the
that,
open. I think that's the open rate on our newsletters,
okay,
and it
gotcha.
varies.
That could be
We've had
it then.
as high as 75%.
Nice.
But what we're trying to get more into is the click ratio after somebody opens.
Mm-hmm.
And then which links. So a lot of these websites, like we use Squarespace for that site, you can get a lot of analytics out of that. So we've looked a lot more closely at our newsletter. And then, that's a really high open rate, anywhere between 50 to 75%.
Oh, totally.
But then if you look at new marketing that we're doing, what's the open rate on that? And then you get into like the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5% range,
Mm-hmm.
depending on who your audience is. So, I mean, this is extremely important for us and it's extremely relevant. And we have conversations every day about this. We were just meeting with Robert on another project we're working on. I mean, this is all super important for us. So I'd be interested in taking that HubSpot. I might look into that, and that's kind of cool. Any more information we can get on this is good for our business.
Yeah, I highly recommend it. I think I have completed now 4 HubSpot certifications now, and it's just a nice starting point, especially because I used to be a journalist and transitioned to more copywriting. That's what I'm trying to be, is a like full-time copywriter. So it was the best starting point for that.
Thanks for those resources. That's cool.
Happy to do it. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Eric. I think that should be required viewing for any interns that are working with marketing or I mean anything, because business development, Neil is doing a lot of emails. Even Kayla and curriculum, we got into sending out emails when we kind of switched the gears.
Yeah, but that was all Robert.
Yeah, that was Robert.
I wrote the email. Yeah.
We
Yeah,
just used his template.
One thing that I always find, and I wanted to actually just mention that I really liked your list at the end, Eric, and especially I think one point that is just so key is make sure that the email has value for the person that is reading it. Because what I discovered is what I have always, because funny enough, I have kind of similar story to you. I was a journalist at university, and now I've transitioned also out to copy editing. And the mentality that I've always taken when it comes to writing any kind of copy is look at it from the perspective of the most critical reader. Because if you can get them to be interested, if you can draw them in, if you can make them say, okay, tell me more, then you can win over the people who are going to be much more like, oh, I'll give it a chance. Why not? But you see, I think such a key is making sure that people have to work hard when they read. You give them all the information they need. The next steps are clear. People are generous with their time to a point. And the moment they have to do a lot of digging before they get back to you, that's, I think, a real point where people begin to fall off.
Certainly. Couldn't agree more. People want to know how you can help them.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought Robert was going to like this presentation because we were just talking about this topic, Eric.
Nice.